Alright guys, and welcome back to this review portion, now taking a look at the 1/72nd scale set of front mission kits here from Square Enix. They're really awesome. I had a lot of fun building these just because I always enjoy building something different, and these certainly are very different from your typical Gundam or Gunpla kit. And even though these are definitely smaller in their size, they're packed with detail, as you guys can see there. And they also have a good amount of accessories in each one as well too, and their articulation is actually quite good as well too, just based on the size and the design of them. You might not think the articulation is all that great, but I think posing them actually will go pretty well. And the other nice thing too is that they're all interchangeable. They all use the same joints, so if you prefer one set of arms or another set of legs or something, or a different head, you can swap that all between the different kits without any issue. And that all goes equally for the weapons as well too, and you have different weapons with each kit, but all the same connection pieces that you can use for them. So if you wanted to take like a rocket launcher from one kit and use it with a different kit, or a missile pod from one kit and to give it to a different kit, you can basically plug them onto anywhere, or you can swap the backpacks on them or everything. So getting these as a full set is going to be a little bit costly. I think it's around $70–$80 around there for the full set. So it comes out to around $17 per kit, something like that, which is a little bit expensive for what it is, but I mean, you have to consider this is coming from a different company that's not Bandai. So $17 for one of these kits individually honestly doesn't feel that bad. It's only really when you compare it to some of those different kind of HD kits and things like that that you can get from Bandai for around the same cost, but I honestly don't think it's that bad of a comparison. And before we get into talking about them in detail, let me just give you guys a size comparison so you can see just how big or small they really are. As you can see, it's barely coming up to the waist of the midsection of a standard 1/44 scale HG Gundam, so they're not going to be very tall at all, but that just kind of makes you appreciate more how much detail is really packed into them. So we'll go through these in order and start off here with the first one in the series, which is the Zenith. This one, and kind of just all the mechs in this series, are, very bulky. It's just part of the design. They're very bulky, again, super heavily detailed, and you've got detail over the place. The seam lines between different parts, where there are seam lines, are kind of not that really big of a deal, I would say. Normally, you guys know I would point out to you guys where different seam lines and things are. I will point them out to you, but I think the seam lines on these kits generally blend pretty well with the design, so much that they're really not too much to worry about, in all honesty. Amongst all the detail and everything that you've got going on there, once this is all painted and panel lined and everything, you're really not going to notice any notable like seam lines between different parts. It's just going to look like natural separation between parts. Now let's just go ahead and go through the articulation, which is going to be basically the same for all of them, so I won't go through the articulation for every single kit individually. We'll just go through it here once, and then that same everything will apply to all of the kits here. So the head is on a ball joint and will be able to move up and down a little bit depending on the different models though. Like this one here, for example, obviously no up and down movement for the head, so I mean, just take that into consideration. The head will go up and down. This one looking a lot like a full metal panic design, sort of really reminds me of that. Anyway, this particular head design, so it'll go up and down, of course turn around everywhere which way. It's just on a little ball joint there. The shoulder joint will also swing out to the front like that, so that moves all the way out to the front, so you can get a nice forward motion of that. Then the arm is just connected via a ball and socket joint into there. This little shoulder flap here on the side will move up and down, but not all of the different kits have this particular part, but that will move up and down like that. Shoulder armor section itself will be able to move up like that, and then the arm can move up to about there, which is not too bad. Then you've got some rotation there at the base of the bicep. Here is one weak point where I'm noticing all the kits have this, where the bicep armor kind of pops apart a little bit easily. It's not a very strong connection there, where everything else is pretty solid. That is one notable weak point that I've noticed with all of them. Otherwise, a double joint there in the arm will give you a pretty full bend there at the elbow, and then the hand is just plugged in there via a small little ball joint. In the midsection, you have a joint which will allow for a really nice forward and back ab crunch there, also a little bit side to side there as well too. Obviously you can rotate it there in the midsection, and all of them have these smoke launchers, and they're all separate parts, so just be very careful with those tiny little parts. You might want to glue those in. This one also has a couple little tiny parts there for those like little lamps on the front also, so they all have this kind of same kind of thing where they have these little parts that go in on the chest. This one also has these little ones that stick up there kind of on the top of the torso, for example. So those little tiny parts you have around the torso, just be very careful with those when you're putting them in and not to lose them or anything. And the hips are also plugged on via a ball and socket joint, but you've got some rotation there at the top that will move, and then you can bring those out to about there. The hip joint is like what the ball joint there, just pull that off there so you guys can see. This can move up and down a little bit inside here as well too, up and down like that. So the ball and socket joint on there, which is usually not very good for articulation, is pretty good in this case because you have a lot of articulation kind of built around that, so that works pretty well. Obviously without any skirt armor, front and back movement of the leg, not going to be an issue there at all. And just like with the elbow, we have a double joint here in the knee as well too, which will give you a pretty nice bend there. Again, considering the bulk of everything here, about a 90-degree bend there is pretty good for that. If you look at it from behind, you can see how this kind of big hollow space there, which will allow for plenty of movement or plenty of space to get a good full bend there at the knee. While we're here, obviously you can see a full detail up underneath the feet as well too. That's also standard among all of the kits, so you got all of detail everywhere. And the ankle, as you might expect, is just on a ball joint, but it's also on a hinge which will swing forward and back, so the whole ankle itself will be able to move forward and back, and then the foot is attached via a ball joint on the end of there, and then it's also on a rocking joint here which will move side to side. So you got, again, not a lot of pieces, but a lot of articulation built into such a few amount of pieces. So they're actually really smartly designed to really make the most out of the articulation of just a few pieces in there. And I guess you can kind of, like, the downside of that is that they don't look all that complex. Like looking at this, I mean, you can see how kind of basic the joints are. That's very visible, but I think they're also designed in a way to be very detailed in the joints as well too. So even though they're very basic and very visible, they don't look cheap or anything like that. They don't look like a tiny little candy toy kit, which I think these very easily could have looked like if they were more cheaply designed, but they seem so nicely designed that even though they're small and simple, they look really nice. All right, now let's talk about the accessories, and there are some accessories that are going to be basically standard amongst all the different kits, and that's going to be kind of these connection pieces. So you have this one, which you've got two of these, which will just plug onto any one of these gray hard points that you see up there on the side of the arms, the top of the shoulders, and here on the backpack as well. You've also got two of these basically little cap parts, which will allow you to put that onto there and basically hide that it's a hole, so it'll give you just a little bit of detail there instead of just this empty hole connection point. Unfortunately, only two of those. Would have been nice to maybe at least have four included in each one. Then you have these connection arms. You've got two short ones and two long ones, so you could use these for plugging stuff onto the backpack. For example, you plug that into there, and then you use something like one of these, which we've got four of in each set, and that will plug onto here, for example. And that little square hole in there is made to be of the same size as your weapon handles. So in this case, we've got three weapons here, included with this set. So you've got this really long rifle, which seems to be kind of like a sniper rifle sort of looking design like that. It's basically one piece. We only have a separate piece for this little section here, so there'll be a tiny little bit of a seam line right there. Otherwise, just mold line on that. Of course, you have to get rid of that little seam line on there. So you've got the long rifle, and then you've got two other different shorter ones. This one, I guess it looks so like it's supposed to be some sort of like a shotgun here, basically, kind of like that, like pump action shotgun, and this sort of like a small SMG kind of weapon here again. And these are just one piece each, so basically no seam lines to remove, just a little bit of mold lines to sand away, and that's basically it. But again, really nicely, highly detailed. And again, these connection pieces that you have here, four of them in each set, will allow you to just plug your weapons onto that. Those handles will just fit into that like that for storage anywhere around on the kit. And you also have a set of two of these that will plug onto a connection point there, and then it's got a hinge on it like this. So again, let's say, for example, plug that onto the top of the shoulder and plug our SMG into the top of that. It looks a bit goofy, but you guys get the idea. You can mess around with that. That's probably better suited for the backpack, or if you're using that on top of the shoulder, better suited to use a one of the missile pods or something like that, which you'll see in a different set. But you can do something along those lines like that, having that stored up over the shoulder like that, using just these connection pieces here. Now, the design of the hands are going to vary slightly differently between the different sets, but all of them come with the same type of hands. You've got closed fist there. Also got a set of holding hands, both for the left and the right, and then a set of open hands for the left and the right too. So total 6 hand parts in each set, and again, just there's one piece each. Then you also have this set of like hands molded together with this sort of like punching weapon. I'm not exactly sure offhand. I'm not familiar enough with the series to know exactly what this is. Seems sort of like some punching kind of electronic weapon here, probably, or something like that, I want to say, but I'm not sure. Anyway, that is something that you can hold in the hand like that. And then we do also have an alternative head here, so you got two different head types. You got that one, and you've got this one, which is a little bit different, and all of them have alternate head options included as well too, so I'll show you them as we go through the accessories for the different kits. But easy enough to just swap out the head on that if you wanted the different type of head. Now while we're here, I will also just briefly talk about the extra weapon that you got included. If you bought this as a full box set of all 4 of them, you also get this option weapon with this connection piece here that you can use for that. So you got the handle here at the back and the handle here at the front, and basically what you can do with that is you can swap that out for this type of handle if you preferred something like that. Also the ammo drum, you can choose which side you want that to be on, this side or just swap it around to the other side, however you might prefer to have that. But super cool extra weapon to have included in what this does have a C mine on it, going through the middle of that. But again, really super cool, very long weapon compared to the actual kit itself. It's taller than the actual mecha. And just the included sniper rifle with the Zenith as well too is also taller than the mecha itself. So really cool weapons, and especially if you get the box of 4, you get this extra one in there, so you already got tons of weapon options here with just this first one. So we'll see how all the weapons and everything look in use and try out some different action poses and all that a little bit later on towards the end of the video. But for now, I just want to go through the rest of the kits and show you guys all the accessories, because each kit does come with some different accessories between them. So next one we're going to be taking a look at here, the next one in the line is the Giza. This one has a little bit more rounded style, as you can see on the arms, the shoulders, and the legs. The armor is not quite as blocky, still very kind of bulky and super detailed, but a little bit more round design on this one. It's also got the added feature of some cannons up there on the backpack, which none of the other designs have those. Of course, like I said, you can swap the backpack, so if you like the look of those but would prefer them on a different mecha in the series, obviously all you got to do is just swap that backpack, easy enough. This one also has a little flap of ankle armor on the front there that none of the other designs in this series have. So yeah, like I mentioned before, the only real difference in articulation is just going to be that the head will only be able to move a little bit side to side, not really so much up and down with this one. The cannons can move up and down to there, completely upright to forward to about there is going to be about the limit of those. And that little flap of armor here on the front of the foot's just going to move a little bit like that. But again, just love the detail on these. And around here on the back, all the articulation otherwise just going to be the same. A little bit of a weak point still here in the biceps like that, but otherwise really fantastic. You got separate little parts here for these tiny little lamps on the bottom side of the torso, and then the smoke launchers up there at the top of the torso. So those are going to be your little parts to look out for. All the connection pieces and everything, hand options are all going to be the same with this kit. What you get included here is our optional head for this one. Not going to be all that different. As you can see, it's just a little bit kind of different there in the face and the top like shape of the head and all that. These are a little bit different in that the one that I have on there now is on a ball joint, and you can move it up ever so slightly up and down, whereas this optional head is not on a ball joint, it's just on a straight peg, so you won't have any up and down articulation with that one at all. For our weapon options and things, this is the only kit in the series that has a shield, so you got this basic shield included, and where you want to attach the shield onto here, you can see you got like a track. You can choose where you want to place that, whether you want to have it a little bit higher or lower, wherever you want, it's up to you. And that will obviously just plug right there onto the side of the arm, easy enough. For our weapon options, once again, we've got two smaller ones. This one, which again looks kind of very shotgun-esque, I believe. So it's got this much different tip, or like the end there is much differently shaped, but that one, shotgun looking one, and this sort of machine gun looking one here like this, which again are just molded in. This is one piece, this one is two pieces, and then our larger weapon is this one, which again looks sort of like either some kind of long machine gun or sniper rifle, some sort of thing like that here, and the secondary handle will move down. It has 2 points of articulation, moving down and out like that, or just rotate that out to the side, or again with the ammo drum as well too, you can choose whether you wanted it on the left or the right side. I just built it as it was according to the manual, but in the manual they also point out to you too that you can choose which side you want that on, or like the handle if you wanted that swapped to the other side as well too. So say for example if you were dual wielding or something like that, or if you wanted it to be a, I don't know, left-handed unit instead of right-handed unit, it's all swappable to the left or the right side, so it doesn't really matter about that. But alright, moving right along, the next kit in the line here is the Drake. And this one, again, has a little bit different style in the design, where the first one was very like square, blocky, the next one is a little bit more rounded. This one is a very kind of angular design, especially with all like the kind of triangular angles you see there in like the shape of the leg armor. Probably the bulkiest legs of the bunch too. It's got the massive bulk out the front and the back on the legs there. This is also the only design in the series that has any sort of back skirt on there, so you got a little bit of like a butt flap there on the back underneath the backpack. And aside from it having probably the most boring backpack design of the bunch, is the backpack is just a little bit plain, just kind of a big square box on there, nothing really too interesting with that. I do think this is probably my favorite design amongst the bunch. It is a really cool one, and I do really like that head design as well too. But of course we have options. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. As you can see, they're going to be kind of generally similar in their shape, but definitely a little bit different in like the face there on them. You can see from the top, they're going to again be similar, but nice in the difference of them. So it's cool that you just got that option there, and you can see even like up under the head you got detail there and everywhere on these. So I definitely prefer this head, but again, it's really great that you just at least have the options there. And for our weapon accessories here, we've got this missile pod, which just can be attached onto anywhere. So the side of the arm or up on top of here. You could attach it, I guess, onto the backpack as well too, or especially using one of your different connection pieces that you have. And again, we have all those same connection pieces included with all of the kits. So you can use some attachment piece to connect that up onto the backpack to have it firing up over the shoulder on a connection piece to be up something like this or something, or even on the top of there like that or something. Anyway, there's a lot of things you could do just with the included connection pieces that we have. For our smaller weapon, we've just got this machine gun, which is pretty similar to the one that you had included with the Giza, but a little bit different, and it's designed different enough to still be its own custom weapon. But again, they're all swappable, so it doesn't have to go to any one particular one mech here. And then its big weapon here is the bazooka, so some unique weaponry for this particular unit, having the missile launcher, missile pod, and this bazooka as well too. It seems sort of like the more heavy artillery one of the bunch. And this handle on here does move a little bit forward and back like that, so getting this up over the shoulder shouldn't be an issue, even with this big massive ammo pack there at the back. This one as well will have a seam line there. It's basically just two halves sandwiched together. But again, it's cool to just have a lot of nice variety amongst your different weaponry for these. And for the fourth and final installment here, we have the Numsikar. I'm guessing that's the correct-ish pronunciation of this, but again, a little bit different design for this. The legs are again very big and blocky, but you have kind of rounded shoulders there. Kind of remind me a little bit of the Griffin frame arms kit design. Anyway, cool backpack design on this one as well too. The head, very small, little boxy head on there, also kind of very fun with just the little mono eye in there. So again, all the kits all carrying a similar style, but different and unique in their own way. And of course, again, you can mix and match them if you want to have more fun with that. And that can be a lot of fun as well too. But let's go ahead and check out its accessories. This one as well too, of course, just going to have all the same points of articulation. Again, you got the smoke launchers there, and these little bits here, those little tiny bits sticking out the bottom of the front of the body are separate little parts. So again, just be careful, probably just want to glue those in. Even though it's got this tiny little block of a head that can have some nice movement there up and down like that, so pretty nice articulation. Again, I really do like the backpack design on this one as well too. It looks quite nice. Now for this one, it's not exactly a full head that you're swapping, but basically like the actual like camera face piece. So the main piece is the same, and you'll just swap that out for either this one, just this kind of very square looking one instead of that little mono eye there. You got this just like square looking one with like cameras on it, or this one, which is also similar, just kind of like square camera lenses on it, and it also adds a little bit to the side as well too, so it'll make the head look a little bit more kind of flat. You can basically just pull off that faceplate there. Swap that for your alternate option like that, so you got some cool options there with the head. So it's not two full heads that you can swap with this case, but it's actually three different heads that you can make by just swapping just like the one main camera piece. This one comes with all the same hand. This one comes with the same options for hand parts and connection pieces and all that, but this one for its weapons, we've got again these handheld weapons here, one for the left, one for the right. I'm not sure if I mentioned that before with the Zenith kit, but we had two of those again for the left and the right. Now these ones, again, I'm not exactly sure what these are doing, but some sort of handheld, more close combat style weapons for just punching, I guess, and inflicting close range damage. You also got another SMG kind of small little weapon here like this, with this sort of texture there on the front, it's got like spiky bits there on the front for, again, close range combat, to be able to actually use this as a blunt weapon as well too, and then fire, I guess, directly into your opponents. And also keeping with the close range style combat here, we've got two of these big massive swords. Now definitely those connection bits they have included would be nice to be able to store these up on the backpack or something like that, or on the side of the arms, or however you want to store these. But these ones as well, really cool sword weapons. And then you've got two attached weapons here like this that you can attach to the top of the shoulders or the sides of the arms. You got this Gatling gun one and this sort of rocket launcher one here, so you get plenty of weapons choices with this one, a lot. So basically every mecha in this series basically has kind of three main weapon options. This one having the swords, these handheld ones here, but this one actually having some more than with the SMG, and then these weapons here as well too. So probably having, like, I guess kind of the most weapon options included with this one, but with everything being compatible, you can mix and match. And so you should be able to have four very fully armed up mecha suits here with this basically having a total of like over 10 weapons here. Let's see, yeah, more closer to like 15 weapons or something like that. I don't know, I guess in total of what you have to choose from for all of these. But alright guys, so basically just to finish out the rest of the video, I just want to show you a bunch of examples with these. So I'm going to show you them all in a series of different poses using their different weapons, and I'm only going to be using the weapons that are included with each kit. Obviously, of course, you could then mix and match for even more further possibilities. There's a lot of possibilities that you can do, especially if you get the pack of 4, even if you only buy them individually though, which I'm not sure actually. I believe they are sold individually, or you can get them individually, but more than likely if you're getting this set, you're probably getting the whole set of 4 anyway. But my point is, there's a lot of different options that you can do with these, so there's a lot of mixing and matching that you could do, and even aside from just the weapons, like I said before, mixing and matching whole limbs or something like that as well too, backpacks and all that. So I'll show you a bunch of different options here, but it's really only scratching the surface of what you can do with these just straight out the box. There's a lot of really great options you've got there. Now, I'm not sure in the game how much jumping or flying these really do, but there's no action-based connection point on the bottom of them. They don't have, well, they have like the different hard points around on them. They don't have a one underneath the waist section that you could put this up on action base. It would be really simple to just drill a hole up into there if you did want to have one in like a flying pose or something like that, but because they don't have that actually molded on there, I won't show you guys any flying poses with these at the moment, just all these poses on the ground. So I mean, there is only so many poses that you can do just flat-footed on the ground, but still I think you'll see that the posability of them is really quite nice. Again, for how small and simple basically the construction is, they really maximize the look of these kits just in detail and in performance of the articulation and like the poses that you can do with these out of so few parts. They really are really quite nice. So while these kits may seem a little bit expensive for what they are, I think the value is definitely there and they're definitely worth checking out. So they also have a set of Xeno Gears, I believe it is the next set's coming out from Square Enix. I don't plan on getting that and reviewing that kit. I don't really like the look of them quite as much as these. These ones were a bit more appealing to me personally, and I was on the fence about it, but now after building them, I'm really super glad I picked up this set because they're really a lot of fun. They're really cool. Definitely could use some paint. I think once they're all painted up, they're going to look even better, but I mean, even just straight out the box, if you were to just get them and you just do some panel lining, paint in a couple little details here and there, maybe throw on a couple decals, a couple marking decals or something, spray some flat top coat, matte coat on them, and they'd be looking pretty awesome even with just minimal effort. So definitely recommended, guys. Check them out if you can find some, if you can get your hands on some. I would highly recommend them. As always, guys, thank you to USA Gundam Store for making it all possible. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to carry these at USA Gundam Store. I don't believe so offhand at the moment, but I'll certainly let you guys know if we are able to get these for you guys, and then we'll let you guys know about that. But of course, as always, you can check out the link to USA Gundam Store down below. Everything else we've got on the store there, you can find some cool stuff, I'm sure. You can save 10% off everything there on the site using my coupon code ZakuAurelius10, so check that out anyway. And thank you guys all so much for watching today. I hope this was a cool video. And I know a lot of you guys are old school front mission fans, so hopefully it was exciting to see these kits. I think they're a lot of fun. So thanks, guys. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.